Here we are back together again, friends, for another episode of the Juicebox Podcast.
My name is Kelly. I am a mom to 3 kids. I'm type 1 diabetic, and my son is now officially type 1 diabetic as well as of about a month ago.
When I created the Defining Diabetes series, I pictured a dictionary in my mind to help you understand key terms that shape type 1 diabetes management. Along with Jenny Smith, who of course is an experienced diabetes educator, we break down concepts like basal, time and range, insulin on board, and much more. This series must have 70 short episodes in it. We have to take the jargon out of the jargon so that you can focus on what really matters, living confidently and staying healthy. You can't do these things if you don't know what they mean. Go get your diabetes defined. Juiceboxpodcast.com, go up in the menu and click on series. Nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan. The show you're about to listen to is sponsored by the Eversense 365. The Eversense 365 has exceptional accuracy over 1 year and is the most accurate CGM in the low range that you can get. EversenseCGM.com/juicebox. This episode of the Juicebox Podcast is brought to you by my favorite diabetes organization, Touched by Type 1. Please take a moment to learn more about them at touchedbytype1.org on Facebook and Instagram. Touchedbytype1.org. Check out their many programs, their annual conference, awareness campaign, their D-Box program, Dancing for Diabetes. They have a dance program for local kids, a golf night, and so much more. Touchedbytype1.org. You're looking to help, or you want to see people helping people with type 1? You want touchedbytype1.org. The episode you're about to listen to is sponsored by Tandem Mobi, the impressively small insulin pump. Tandem Mobi features Tandem's newest algorithm, Control IQ Plus technology. It's designed for greater discretion, more freedom, and improved time and range. Learn more and get started today at tandemdiabetes.com/juicebox.
My name is Kelly. I am a mom to 3 kids. I'm type 1 diabetic, and my son is now officially type 1 diabetic as well as of about a month ago.
Okay, can we tell people the episode you were on previously?
Yeah, but I couldn't tell you what it's called or what number it is.
Seriously?
Yeah, sorry. I can't go back and listen to it.
You've never heard it?
I have not.
And you have no idea what it was called?
You know what? It was called Bad Reviews.
Oh, okay. Look at you. See? Give me.
Yeah. I just had to rack my brain a little.
Episode 1213. Bad Reviews. I will read you the synopsis. Kelly has type 1 diabetes and a son with 2 antibodies. Oh, interesting. Well, now we're back to find out more. So, those 2 antibodies, what happened to them?
Okay, so that would have been about 2.5 years ago. He was 2.5. We found 2 antibodies and we watched them in agony, waiting for the day when we were going to finally be able to start insulin. And now the day is finally here.
How long ago did he begin using insulin?
Using it regularly, more than just because originally our instructions were if he's over 300 for 3 hours, give him half a unit to bring him back. And then as of the very, very end of February, so a little over a month ago, he was on Lantus and injecting every meal.
So how long did the over 300 for a certain amount of time, half a unit thing, how long did that go on for?
So those were our instructions for 2.5 years, and we only had to do it a handful of times. He didn't stay above 300 for more than a couple of hours almost ever. I think there was maybe 3 or 4 times total that we ever gave him any injection in those 2.5 years.
Yeah. So and how old is he today?
He's 5.
5. So for 2.5 years, you're just watching and waiting. And is he wearing a CGM?
Yep. We were lucky. The doctor, the pediatric endocrinologist that we connected him with, prescribed him a CGM right away. Basically, hey, when we find antibodies, usually the littler the kid is, the quicker they develop into type 1. So he wanted to get him on a Dexcom right away. We put it on him and he has now worn a Dexcom longer in his life than he has not, but he just now started on insulin like a month ago.
I'm going to go a weird way on this for a second.
Mhm.
So let's all pretend together that a magic man comes up to you and says, in 2.5 years, you're going to get cancer. What's it like living for 2.5 years waiting for the thing to happen?
When you talk about cancer, I'm not sure how to answer that, but
I'm trying to put it in other people. Like everybody here has type 1 diabetes. What I'm trying to say is like, imagine for anything else, you're going to have shingles 2.5 years from now. It's really going to hurt.
Mhm.
2.5 years from now, your house is going to burn down. 2.5 years from now, your car is going to stop running and you're not going to be able to afford a new one. Like there's this thing coming in 2.5 years and you have a crystal ball for it. Like what is the living in the crystal ball time like?
It was miserable. And I think most of the misery that we experienced was that we didn't know when it was going to come. So we knew it was coming. We knew it absolutely was coming. And, 2.5 years ago, we were told he's little, so it's probably going to be quick. So in my mind, that was within a couple of months. And then we had 2.5 years of watching his blood sugars, hit 350, come back down to 60. And just the roller coaster. And there was, to my knowledge, and to everything that I have figured out and researched, which is probably limited, there's really nothing we could have done about it at this point.
Did you hear about Tzield and wonder about it?
Yes, he was too little for it. And I think he still is. But I also don't know that I would have gone for it. It was offered kind of to us through TrialNet. They asked like, hey, if we can give it to you, do you want it? And we thought about it. I talked it over with my husband and we decided on no, because these 2.5 years have been hell. Like, I don't want to live in this, when's it coming, watching it and not being able to do anything about it. Like I have been ready for, we'll say 2 of those 2.5 years to finally just be able to take the reins and deal with it. Whereas in the last 2.5 years, it's been watching him roller coaster and seeing like the toll that it takes on his behavior, even like delaying that even more, potentially keeping him in that stage even longer is just not something I even wanted to entertain. Like I've been wanting him to basically get to full blown type 1 so I could take over and manage better than what his body has been doing for the last 2.5 years.
How many times do you think he saw 300 in that time?
Oh God. Like I would say almost every day.
Wow. So every day his blood sugar shot the 300 and then it came back down.
It would come back down really quickly. I mean, within an hour or less. But yeah, he was hitting 300 almost every day for 2.5 years.
It was meals that did that?
Yeah.
And his behavior changed like erratically?
Pretty much, yeah. It's hard because he's gotten older too, but in the last couple of months since we've started regulating and kind of bringing it back into what I would expect would be more normal for a 5-year-old, I mean, his behavior is night and day from what it had been since he was 2. And again, he was 2. So, I mean, some of that is just normal toddler behavior, but you could see it. And it wasn't necessarily just when he would hit 300, but like the roller coaster that he's been on for the last 2.5 years. I mean, that it's been hard, I think, on him. It's definitely been hard on us.
Yeah. Just the jerking up and down of the number is the instability. And so the anticipation in hindsight now, the anticipation was worse than the reality of just managing diabetes every day.
Absolutely. If I could have known, hey, in 2.5 years, in February of 2025, he will have type 1, I would have been like, yeah, okay, cool, whatever. But it was the not knowing when it was finally going to come. It's knowing that it's coming and not knowing when it's coming. That was really challenging.
Yeah. So if the crystal ball guy said, look, 2 years from now, your kid's going to get type 1. Sorry to tell you, but he's not going to go 300 3 times a day up and down. You would have said, all right, you think you would have been able to just live your life for 2 years and then prep for that time?
Probably.
Not just the anticipation, but it's the consistent hourly whack-a-mole that you're playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad that he was on a Dexcom. We never end up having to, go to the hospital or be in DKA or any of that. And that's great. But the watching it and just knowing what was happening and not being able to do anything about it was really, really taxing.
Okay. And taxing how? Like you said, it was hard on you guys, like you and your husband, I imagine you mean. This episode is sponsored by Tandem Diabetes Care. And today I'm going to tell you about Tandem's newest pump and algorithm. The Tandem Mobi system with Control-IQ Plus technology features auto bolus, which can cover missed meal boluses and help prevent hyperglycemia. It has a dedicated sleep activity setting and is controlled from your personal iPhone. Tandem will help you to check your benefits today through my link, tandemdiabetes.com/juicebox. This is going to help you to get started with Tandem's smallest pump yet, that's powered by its best algorithm ever. Control-IQ Plus technology helps to keep blood sugars in range by predicting glucose levels 30 minutes ahead, and it adjusts insulin accordingly. You can wear the Tandem Mobi in a number of ways. Wear it on body with a patch-like adhesive sleeve that is sold separately, clip it discreetly to your clothing, or slip it into your pocket. Head now to my link, tandemdiabetes.com/juicebox to check out your benefits and get started today. When you think of a CGM and all the good that it brings in your life, is the first thing you think about, I love that I have to change it all the time? I love the warm-up period every time I have to change it. I love that when I bump into a door frame, sometimes it gets ripped off. I love that the adhesive kind of gets mushy sometimes when I sweat and falls off. No, these are not the things that you love about a CGM. Today's episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by the Eversense 365, the only CGM that you only have to put on once a year, and the only CGM that won't give you any of those problems. The Eversense 365 is the only one-year CGM designed to minimize device frustration. It has exceptional accuracy for 1 year with almost no false alarms from compression lows while you're sleeping. You can manage your diabetes instead of your CGM with the Eversense 365. Learn more and get started today at eversensecgm.com/juicebox. 1 year, one CGM.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm type 1 also. So, I know how crappy he's feeling when he's hitting 300 and then an hour later he's 60 and then he's back up to 200 without even us treating it half the time. It's just his body not responding to anything properly for the last while.
And you couldn't pre-bolus anything, right?
No, we still don't, actually. He's a really, really unreliable eater. So we actually still are not. But beforehand, he wasn't on any insulin really at all until a month and a half ago.
My question revolves around this idea. So if you stop the spike from ever happening, then his body wouldn't attack the spike. Because I guess the worry was if you gave him insulin, his body was also giving insulin. It would make him too low.
Right.
I found myself wondering, if you could have stopped the high, would that have quelled the amount of natural insulin he got?
Yeah, I wondered that too. And I had actually brought it up to multiple different doctors. We have a doctor, a pediatric endocrinologist locally that we see. And I've been pretty happy with, the advice that we've gotten from him. And I hear from the doctors with the TrialNet. And I've spoken with a few of them and kind of just asking, picking their brains, what can we do? This is awful. Yeah. And basically across the board is just wait, it'll come. And it did. Eventually you could see, in I think 2 months, he went from 5.7 A1C to 6.7 A1C. There was a very drastic, okay, it's time.
Right.
The fact that there's nothing to do in the in-between, I hope that's coming eventually for the people who are found really early on, like in stage 2 or stage 1. I hope that eventually there is something to treat. I don't know.
Do you feel like the doctor telling you it's coming ignores the psychological stuff, though?
How do you mean?
For him, for your son's, behaviorally, or how he just felt, or how you knew he felt, and probably the guilt that you found from that. Doesn't that all just kind of doesn't that answer just dismiss all of that?
Yeah, it definitely felt that way.
Yeah.
It was definitely very validating, with TrialNet, when he finally failed his oral glucose tolerance test. He finally failed it. And I was finally, because half the time we would go in and I would see it, at home, especially on the Dexcom. I would watch the Dexcom and he would spike and then he would come back down and he would spike and he would come back down. But then we'd go to his glucose tolerance test and it was he'd hit 160 and then come back down and at his 2-hour mark or whatever it is, he'd be 110 and they're oh, look, he's doing fine. And I'm no, he's not.
Yeah, that's my point. Is I don't think they don't care about it.
Right.
They're not paying attention to it. It's not what they're worried about. I just interviewed somebody yesterday that, is an RN whose child was diagnosed and, had that moment where she realized, actually, she was a physician's assistant, excuse me, where she realized like, wow, all the people I work with don't know anything about type 1 diabetes. And we help people with type 1 diabetes every day. Like that vibe. And so like, not that the doctor's ignoring something, but almost like they don't even know to be concerned about it. But you had a unique experience where you had type 1, you have type 1. So then what's happening to your son while this is going on.
Right.
Yeah. And that was probably an extra, I don't know, like what was it, guilt or anger or frustration? What did it do for you?
Just both. Like, I think it was a little bit of guilt early on. I don't know that I feel a lot of that now. I mean, every now and then it'll ping and be like, hey, you should feel like about this. And I'm like, oh, okay. But I mean, most of it is just like sympathy. Like, I know how bad you're feeling. I want to handle this for you. I want to make it better. Right. And there's just, everyone and their dog is telling me, hey, there's nothing you can do. Just watch it and wait. And I'm like, are you sure? Like, you're super sure there's nothing we can do.
Yeah.
There's got to be something. And there's not. I mean, I asked them like, hey, can we get him started on a long acting, maybe curb some of these spikes? I mean, they'll still happen. And they're like, no, he's waking up in the 90s. He's waking up his fasting numbers are in, the low hundreds. And I'm like, I know, but like, there's nothing we can do
at all. Are you sure? Hello, anyone? It's tough. And it went on for a long time, right? 2.5 years, a long ass time.
Yeah, it was a very long time. It was a lot longer than I expected to. So.
Oh, so you had a distance in your head. And so that probably made it worse, right?
Yeah. I mean, when we initially got the call from the doctor, again, he said, the younger they are, the quicker they go into, their full blown type 1. And I don't know like as far as I know, there's not a gauge of like how long the antibodies have been in somebody's body. So when they normally find them, are they 2 weeks from being diagnosed? Are they 2 years from being diagnosed? Or as far as I know, there's not a way to know.
Yeah.
So he's like, hey, the younger they are, the quicker it's going to happen. So in my brain, and I didn't ask more questions and maybe I should have. In my brain, I'm thinking, okay, so probably within, a couple months, 6 months. And then time went on and it went on and it went on. And we're watching it on the Dexcom. And I'm like, when do we intervene? And there was finally a moment where I was like, okay, it's time. And the doctors agreed, yeah, it's time. Like, it's time to intervene. But it was awful just watching it, like waiting for it to be time.
If you could have planned this whole experience out, how would you prefer it to have gone? Are you happy that you learned about the autoantibodies?
Yes, I'm so glad we knew about it. And I've enjoyed like being part of TrialNet and seeing kind of how the different research can help. I almost wish we hadn't started on the Dexcom right away, or that we would have just worn it like once a month. I've been listening to alarms on my phone for his numbers for years. And it's just, it would alarm me. I had it set at 140 just so I could see what was happening. And it's dinging every hour, right? Like every hour it's 140 or higher, or then it's 250.
So the CGM as a diagnostic tool was terrific. But personally speaking, if it's going to go to 300 and come back in an hour and I'm not doing anything about it anyway, knowing about it is maddening, not valuable.
In some cases, yes. I definitely, I'm glad we had it. I'm glad he had it on and we could see what was happening and we were learning from it. But I don't know. I think I wish that I would have just put it on him sometimes to catch eventually what would happen and not just watched it constantly.
Like once, maybe 10 days every month or something like that.
Yeah.
I see.
And by the time I brought that up, I said something to the doctor. I said, I think I just want to put it on him once in a while. And they're like, he's getting closer now. You can see like it's trending that he's going to be needing the insulin soon. So yeah, now is not the time to do that. I'm like, okay.
You figured out what you wanted to do too late.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Remind me, other autoimmune in your family, yes or no?
No, I have hypothyroid also. I assume it's Hashimoto's, but I've never looked into it. I don't know that it makes a difference for treatment that I know of. So
yeah, I don't think so.
I've never dug into it. My mom, I think, has some hypothyroidism, but there's not much else over there. And I guess on my dad's side, one of my uncles has lupus. Usually forget about that. We're not close, but yeah, he does.
Gotcha. Well, we're going to move on to the next part here, but I have to tell you, I am working very hard to shake this. I listened to an interview before you and I got on. So I was doing I was cleaning up in here and like straightening up my desk and that kind of stuff. And listening to somebody who's I was interested in hearing from. And this person was interviewed by a bad interviewer. And it got into my head. I was like, oh my God, is that what it sounds like when it's done that poorly? And now I'm super aware of it. I'm like, God, ask good questions. Really focus. But what made you want to come back onto the podcast? Do you think to yourself well, there's an update here, or did you have an experience that you really want to dig through?
Mostly just an update. There are definitely things to talk about, but I think they'll just come up as they come up. I don't think I have anything, at the forefront of my brain about what specifically I wanted to share.
This is very much about the transition from stages for you.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, was it like a birthday party when his blood sugar finally went up and didn't come back down again? Were you like, woo, it's happening? Or was there still some sadness?
There was I would say probably 2 minutes or less of it finally happened. But most of it was just very validating and almost celebration, which sounds terrible to say, but I was just finally I can do something. I've been sitting on my hands for so long. I was just ready. There's just
relief.
Yeah.
And now that all that anticipation's gone and everything else.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, I mean, awesome's the wrong word, but Okay, so how long ago did this happen?
This was between a month and a half ago. So at the in December, which was 4-ish months ago, was when he failed back-to-back glucose tolerance tests with TrialNet. So we knew that it was time. And then we went to his endo and a week later, because the doctor said, hey, when's your next appointment with him? And I said, it's in February. And he shakes his head and he goes, he is not going to make it that long before needing his insulin. And I'm like, all right, sounds good. So we scheduled an appointment, the next week. And we go in and he pulls up his Dexcom and his reports. And he's like, yeah, give him a half a unit every day with breakfast. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. And especially with having, plenty of knowledge for me, I thought that he would come out of okay, let's give him a 1-to-30 carb ratio. Let's see what happens. I thought there would at least be some sort of starting point. But he's just said half a unit with breakfast. And I'm like, okay. So we did it for a couple of days. And honestly, it didn't help that much because his body was still bringing him back down. It was slower than it had been previously, but it was still coming back down. And right after breakfast, he's at school and preschool. I'm not trying to put all that on the teachers. This is the only time of day we're even going to give him insulin. He said only at breakfast because those were his highest spikes.
Right.
And I was like, I'm not going to do that. So I talked it over with a friend and she was like, what if I was sending her his graphs every day. What would you do here? With all of my 20 years of type 1, I don't know what to do at this point. And she had a child who had been diagnosed within the last year. So her knowledge is a lot fresher. What would you do? And she's like, hey, okay, tackle lunch first, because he's also spiking pretty big with lunch. Tackle lunch, and then he'll be at home because he's only at preschool for 3 hours. So she's like, tackle lunch first. Let's see what happens. So we did that for a little while. And then the more I thought about it, I actually stopped giving him any insulin at all, because what I realized was if I control it too well, with, half a unit, 2 units of Humalog, it's going to look like he doesn't need the basal that I know he needs. It's going to look like he doesn't need a pump. He doesn't need, because I'm doing, I'm doing such a good job with, microdosing throughout the day. It's going to look like he doesn't need anything. You
felt like you needed to show bad reports to get the stuff you needed. So you've had type 1 for 20 years. So you grew up through the time where you wait for your doctor to change your settings,
correct,
right?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have some of that feeling still? Because
no.
I imagine, I know for you don't have it, but do you think it snuck back in a little bit? They're in charge. Did that feeling come back to you?
A little bit. A lot of my hesitation, I was like, okay, I can see, I think basal is going to be great for him. Give him some Lantus, give him whatever it might be. His overnight numbers were still looking really good. So we were worried, if we give him Lantus and he drops, say we need to go to the emergency room, He's not prescribed any Lantus. We can't not tell them that he has basal insulin.
You actually had a fear that they would think you were treating him poorly or something like that.
I was worried that if he ended up having a low, we had to go to the ER. Who knows what they could do if you go in and say, hey, I'm giving him my medication that's not prescribed to him.
Yeah.
I mean, there's too many things they can do at that point.
You're trying to get your kid back from the state all of a sudden.
Right.
Yeah. Was it not comfortable to go to the doctor and say that?
Oh, I asked him and he said, no, his overnight numbers still look fine. I think it would be okay. I had actually posted in the Juicebox Facebook page, like, does anyone have any suggestions? Are there any, because Levemir was discontinued at this point, because we were looking for an insulin that didn't last as long, that would help us throughout the day and not tank him overnight.
Yeah, Levemir might have worked really well for that. But they don't make that anymore?
No, they don't.
Really? Jeez.
That's what I was told. And so it's discontinued and we could not get it. So we ended up just backing off and basically not doing anything. We went to his appointment, what would have been like 2 months-ish later. And I had given him a couple of, we'll call rescue doses of like Humalog to bring him down. Like if his body was just not bringing him back down at all, I would give him some, but I was not treating his meals as I should, because I wanted to show the bad reports. Like, look, you need to prescribe him the medications that he needs. So we went to the doctor at the end of February, and he did kind of push back. The doctor did kind of push back a little bit and say like, no, look, it's fine. And I pull up the clarity reports on my phone and I said, look at this. 60% of the day, he's out of range. I had the range set like 70 to 140, and 60% of his day, he was not in range. I said, you can't tell me that he's fine. He's not doing fine.
Isn't there almost an argument to be made to put him on a pump that that you could set at a 0 basal and then just do a little basal sometimes, or like, and then not other times, like almost set up a pump, but run it manually. Does that make sense?
You know, that's actually exactly what we did.
Oh, look at me. Okay, good.
Yeah. So I brought that up and I said, I asked him for a pump in December. I said, can we get the process started? So that way, when I probably have to fight insurance and wait for the companies to send everything out and all this, while we're doing this whole process, basically we have it before we really, really need it. He said, no, we don't need to do that. TRICARE won't give you any problems. And I was like, okay. That was not the case. But,
no, really? That didn't work out like that?
What do you know?
Everything didn't go the way it was supposed to?
What
Crazy.
do you know? So I brought it up again at the end of February. I said, listen, look at his day. Yes, he's having some normalcy overnight, but even overnight, it was, we'll say like maybe 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. that his numbers were fine overnight. So yes, if you were doing a finger stick, he was waking up at a great number.
Not the entire of the time. Yeah,
exactly. And he would pull up like the clarity, report and be like, look, he's waking up at 1:10. And I'm like, I know, but can we look at the rest of the chart, please? You see these other 20 hours in the day? Those are what I'm looking at.
This is the endocrinologist.
Yeah.
Is this person still your child's endocrinologist?
Yeah, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
It's going okay. I definitely don't know that I would suggest him to somebody who does not have knowledge about how to like push for the things that they want or know what things that they want. But, when I pushed back and I said, listen, like, look at the 60% of his day that is out of range. Like, we need to do something about this. I don't care about those 3 hours where he's in range. That's not enough.
By the way, what a terrific review. If you know a lot about your disease state and you're comfortable pushing back on a doctor who doesn't, this guy's for you. And if not, you probably should go to somebody who understands better. I mean, is that the review?
Basically, yeah. I mean, at least at the start. I mean, again, I genuinely think like at least at a diagnosis, because that's the extent of my knowledge with him so far. I mean, we've been seeing him for almost 3 years now, but like for actually handling type 1, I think it's very like basic. Like, here, let me give you the don't die advice. And then eventually we'll build up on it. Because, I mean, he's told me like, if he was older and a much more reliable eater, I'd suggest pre-bolusing. Like, he's telling me the things that he should kind of, but is like not giving all the information up front either.
Yeah. He's not a great eater, but have you found a world where you pre-bolus a little bit, then bolus the rest after the food goes in?
We have tried, but more of the issue beyond him not eating is that we can give him his plate and he will immediately stuff his face, or we can give him his plate and he won't touch it for 20 minutes until everyone else is done and leaves the table. And then he'll decide it's time to eat. So even if I just pre-bolus him, half of the meal, just wondering what he would eat, it's still way too much if he doesn't eat for 20 minutes after I serve it to him.
Is he on a pump now?
He is, yes.
I was going to say, is he trying to avoid injections by not eating, but that's not the case?
No, he doesn't. I mean, he didn't ever care about the injections either. Okay. So.
Gotcha. How much easier is it to have a child with type 1 diabetes when you have it yourself? I know you have to look at other people and kind of extrapolate their experiences and put them onto yours. But do you think it's a huge benefit or not? Or do you think there's places where it's not a benefit?
I think both. I definitely have the knowledge because, again, when we go to the endo and they're giving you the, hey, if he goes below 80, treat him. And I'm like, yeah, maybe. So they're giving you the don't die. And I'm coming in with way, way, way more knowledge. So, in I think it was a month, we were able to bring his A1C when he started on insulin from 6.7 to 6.1, right? And I don't know that with the advice they gave, that would have been possible. So in that regard, I would say it's a positive, but I also think there's definitely negatives. It's definitely harder for me to, at the moment where it's still very new and very early on, I am focusing so much on him and getting his doses accurate and timed as well as we can.
You're not taking care of yourself.
I sit down, I eat my meal and I'm like, oh, I'm 200. What did I dosed him, but I didn't dose myself. Right. So there's a little bit of a learning curve in trying to remember to do both of us now, which I think that'll fade away and it'll be fine. But it's just still early on and making sure that we're handling everything. And then I'm a little bit worried about tethering him to my choices for technology and whatever else. And knowing okay, well, I know the Tandem system. I know how this operates. So of course he's going to use Tandem, which he is. And so am I. But I'm worried that eventually there might be something better out there. But 20 years in, might be stuck in my ways and be like, no, I'm not doing that. So he's not doing that. So I'm a little bit worried that that's coming or that that's already happening. I'm not sure.
You're worried that you're going to apply your biases to him and then he's going to get stuck with them?
Yeah, I think that might be a good way to describe that. Yeah.
You're not worried about the problems you've had throughout your life having type 1? Do you find yourself going, oh God, I know what's going to happen to him in high school because, this thing happened to me, or do you have those feelings?
Not really, because I do feel like I'm more equipped to watch out for those things.
Mm-hmm. So you feel like there'll be experiences that help you be ready, they're not causing you doom and gloom.
I definitely can't tell you I am absolutely confident he will not go through it because I don't think that's the case.
Of course.
But I think that, I can at least watch out for them.
Right. At least maybe see them coming.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then would you offer your advice, do you think? Or do you think you'd sit back and direct it from a distance? The other day, Arden said to me, she's like, I see you holding back your advice sometimes with us now that I'm older. And not just about diabetes. And I'm like, well, yeah, I want you to have an experience and figure out what you think about this. I don't want to just tell you what to think about it. And then I kind of watch to make sure that they don't get too far off the rails before, and if they do, then I'll pipe up maybe and be like, hey, have you considered this part of it? Do you know what I mean? And your kids are younger, right?
Yeah. My kids are 5, 7, and 10. So they're all still little.
Yeah, you don't know this part of it yet. Where they start thinking by themselves. You're thinking about it. Because you thought about it with the diabetes stuff. Well, I don't want to just tell him to do what I think because maybe he'll think something different. But wait till that starts happening with personal stuff. And you're like, oh, you know what I mean? Interpersonal stuff, social things, politics, that kind of stuff where you're like, wow, I think that's way off, but let me let you go for a while and see what happens here.
Yeah, I'm worried about that a little bit with him, but I also think it's going to depend so much on what his personality, turns out to be and how our relationship is. I mean, I'm never going to be hands off with it, but I don't know whether I'll be like, hey, shape up, do it this way, do it the right way. Or if it'll be more hey, what do you think if we maybe get some different ideas about that.
So you're telling me you need to maintain your relationship with your kids and check to make sure he's not going to be a dip. Maybe if he's a dip, you'll give him more advice.
Exactly. That's my point.
That's what I was thinking too. Yeah, the ones who don't need it, you're like, oh, they'll be okay. Which then, by the way, I think runs a different risk of making the kids feel abandoned, like nobody was interested in them.
Yep.
There's no winning raising children, by the way.
Yeah, no, it's the worst. It's the worst and it's the best. And yeah, I agree.
You're not going to win. You're just going to mitigate problems. That's all. Everything you pick to mitigate, the thing on the opposite side gets worse.
Oh, yeah. I'll still do it wrong. I just do whatever I do. It's fine.
Good luck to all of you. As long as your kid's not on the news and you don't find yourself standing in front of the house one day going, I didn't think they would do that. I think you're kind of okay. Yeah. Nothing sadder, you know what I mean, than a parent going, I just never imagined. And I'm like, yeah, apparently everyone that knew him thought it was going to happen.
Everyone but mommy. It's fine.
Yeah, it's awesome. Oh my God. How long have you been using the tandem pump?
I have probably had mine for, I would guess, well, at least 5 years, but I think it's been more like 8, somewhere in there.
Wow. You enjoy it?
I like it, yeah.
Yeah. Would you tell people tandemdiabetes.com/juicebox? They should go there to find out more about it.
That's exactly what I would do.
Awesome, Kelly. Thank you. But tell me what you like about it.
So I like the algorithm a lot, and it's very user-friendly. The algorithm works as long as your settings are right. So I like that.
Awesome. And the form factor, do you think about the Mobi, or do you like the I'm assuming you have like the T-Slim X2 or something?
I do. I have the T-Slim and my son has Mobi.
Okay. Oh, so one of each.
Yep.
All right. Well, all right. There you go. Check it out. I think pumps are obviously a very personal decision. And like, you know, I'm not saying like Kelly uses a Tandem Mobi, you should use it. Or like my daughter uses an Omnipod, so definitely use it. But there are pluses to all of them. I think there are minuses to all of them. And you got to figure out which one really fits you better.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And CGM's, Dexcoms?
Both of us are on Dexcom. I am on the G6 and my son is on the G7.
Interesting. Do you have an opinion between the two?
I do not. There's, again, like you said, there's pluses and minuses to both. I like the look of the graph on the G6 a little better, but I also like the warm-up time and the 12 hours at the end, whatever they call that.
The extra time at the end.
Yeah.
Where you can kind of go like, oh, it's expired, but I get 12 more hours.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I see it helping Arden to change the device in a, I don't know, like when it's more convenient for her.
Exactly.
Basically.
Yep.
Yeah,
same here.
Gotcha. What grade is he in now? Is he in kindergarten yet?
Nope, not yet. He's in preschool.
He's still in preschool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How did the other kids handle him getting diabetes?
I was a little worried that they would be jealous. Like we have jelly beans at school, so he can have like 1 or 2 if he starts to drop too low or whatever. And I was worried that the other kids would like, side eye him or try to take them. But the entire class is like, his phone will beep and all the kids are like, Madden, you need a snack.
It's probably like awesome. So at school, it hasn't been an issue. How about at home? How about your children?
I don't notice a whole lot. I think they're in the last, since it's been, again, like a month and a half, there's been, we'll say, more focus on my son. And I see that a little bit. My other kids seem like they need a little more attention. So we've been mitigating that a little bit. But for the most part, I don't think there's a whole lot going on yet, at least.
Are you looking for things that you have in common with the other kids so that everybody can feel connected?
Definitely. So we actually, each of my kids on like the day of the month that they were born. So like my son was born on the 9th. So like tonight he gets to stay up late with my husband and I and spend time with the two of us, like with the other kids going to bed. And so we've been giving them like both of the other 2 kids, like a little bit extra time to give them more focus.
So is this monthly you do this?
We do. Yeah.
Yeah. So monthly on your birthday, the date, like if I was born on the 12th. So every month on the 12th, you would jettison my brother and or sisters and be like, get away from here. This is Scott and mommy and daddy time.
Exactly. We put the other kids to bed and then the one kid gets, an hour, 2 hours, however long it ends up being, but they get sole focus. They get to be the only child for a couple of hours.
Oh my God. I'm going to ask you a question you shouldn't answer. I'm just going to say up front, I'm going to ask you a question you shouldn't answer. Do you like hanging out with one of them more than the others?
I plead the 5th.
Oh my God. I had a picture in my mind of you being like, oh, thank God. not this one.
There are some days that we're like, no, not today, please.
Kid is so boring. Just like,
well, it's like we let them pick. Like they get to kind of lead whatever they want to do on that day. And like, some of the kids choose the same thing every time. And it's like a month apart. So it's not like super tedious. But I'm like, we just did that last month and the month before. And the month, can we play Uno?
I want you to keep doing this till they're much older. Cause like, I want to know how you handle it when like the first time the one kid's like, hey, I think we should like smoke weed tonight. Don't you? And like, I mean, the other two, those stiffs are gone, Mom, right? Like, let's do it. I would talk to your children about what they think the other ones are doing.
Yeah.
In that oh my God, I bet you their minds race. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I should start keeping like a journal of it all so I can look back.
Yeah, like what do they think is happening? Like when they're in their bed and they're like, oh, they're out there. I know that's the fun one. They're probably doing crack. They probably think you're leaving the house and like racing cars down the street or something like that.
With my 5-year-old, Scott.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I think you'd be racing around with your 5-year-old out in the street. It's like it's late at night. Nobody's out there. It's fine.
With Mom and Dad both, and the other two just...
Yeah, they're just in the house hanging out. Like, but I'm saying if you were a kid, wouldn't you imagine that?
Probably so.
Yeah, like they're probably doing something.
I don't know that I think they were doing crack, but...
I probably went too far with that. If I'm a little kid, I'm upstairs going like, all I bring to the table is Uno. Every week I use like, there's one kid's like, they ask me what I want to do and I fucking panic and I say Uno. And I know the other one's down there doing something cool.
Usually they just like want to watch videos on YouTube. And I'm like, really? This is the best you could come up with? Come on.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, no, these kids got no imagination. Boy, if I had I'd be like, listen, we finally got rid of the other two. We all know they're an anchor. Now it's our time, right? And Dad, I see it in your eyes. You hate those other ones, but not me. I'd be such a little ass. Like I got put in that situation. I'd be like, I know you've been waiting for Scott to come. Don't worry. Meanwhile, I'm so boring. I took one of those personality tests the other day. And Arden's like, it said, do you think other people think you're fun? And I was like, no. And Arden goes, you don't think other people think you're fun? I was like, I can't imagine. She goes, a lot of people like you. And I was like, now she's trying to talk me into changing my answer. I'm like, oh my God, am I that wrong am I wrong about all these? One of the other questions was, do you enjoy making people laugh? So here, Kelly, do you enjoy making people laugh?
No, I don't think I'm good at it.
Okay, I'm good at it.
Yeah.
Ask me if I enjoy it.
Do you enjoy it?
No, not really. I'm just trying to make myself laugh.
No, that's fair.
If you laugh, that's fine. I'm happy for you. But I'm not trying to make you laugh. I'm just saying what I think is fun. Or
it's not about you. It's about myself.
Well, that's what I ended up with when it was over. I was like, oh my God. I was like, we should not take these tests anymore. I don't like how they come out. It was one of those I don't even know what they call them, but at the end it gives you I don't know what the hell it was. I don't pay a lot of attention.
Was it like the one that gives you the letters or something, or it gives you
No, not the letters. Like you're the jester, you're the king, you're the I don't even know what the hell it's.
Yeah.
There's no way I would share with you what I was.
Oh, you got to.
No, because when it popped up, I was embarrassed by it.
I'm just going to Google what all of them are, and then I'm just going to guess.
All right. Well, hold on a second. I'll tell you what. If you guess it. All right. So what is it called? It's called archetypes. All right. I have them in front of me.
Okay. Wait. How many are there? Because I don't know if I'm looking at the same one or not.
It looks like there's 10, maybe 11.
9?
What are the 12 archetype patterns?
12? I'm only coming up with 9.
The innocent represents purity and optimism. The orphan desires connection and belonging. The hero seeks to prove worth through courageous acts. The caregiver, motivated by a desire to protect and care for others. The explorer craves freedom and authenticity, fearing getting trapped. The rebel yearns for revolution or change. The lover seeks intimacy and connection. The creator strives to create enduring value, fearing mediocrity. The jester embraces joy and humor, fearing boredom and boring others. The sage, driven by the quest for truth, fearing being misled. The magician aims to make dreams come true, fearing unintended negative consequences. The ruler desires control and prosperity, fearing chaos and being overthrown. And somehow this is not part of the ones. I think Actually, they probably just called it something different in the one she gave me. By the way, half of these you take online, you got to pay for at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Because I just read all those to you. And
none of them were it.
It wasn't the one. So now I'm going to do the next one. I swear to God.
Wouldn't it just be easier to say it then?
No, because I am not going to say it. Yeah, maybe this one's it. The king, the warrior, the magician, the lover. My God, the internet sucks. Who made this? Listen, I'm just going to come out and say it. We shouldn't have let everybody use the internet. It should have just been, I don't know how we should have chosen who, but there can't be 17 different answers for one question.
I don't know. Maybe you should try to ask ChatGPT because I feel like they probably know you by now. Maybe you could just ask them which archetype you are. See what they say.
That's funny. You want to do that? Okay, yeah. Hold on a second. Now the people who are like, you're ruining the world with ChatGPT. The whole podcast is about that now. I hear you fucking crybabies. This will probably know it immediately.
If it gets it right, will you tell me?
It's just going to tell me to take a test. If I say, hey, what archetype am I? It's going to say, well, it looks like I was close. Innocent, orphan, hero, caregiver, explorer, rebel, king, lover, creator, jester, sage, magician.
Wait, isn't that the same list you gave me before?
A little bit. So which one do you think I am? Anybody who's really listening knows the answer already, but go ahead.
All right. Well, maybe that's not me. I put little stars down while I was typing what you said, and I put a little star by orphan and creator.
Interesting. So I thought for sure when I got done, it would be like caregiver.
Yeah, I thought about that one too.
I thought creator, maybe. You know what I mean? Like these were all ones that I was right there. The orphan one, like I have, like, I've been very open about being adopted, but like I'm not burdened by it constantly. So It probably doesn't come out in my answers. Yeah, but that was none of those were correct. And then you go into your level 2, right? Where you're going to start thinking like, well, maybe he got jester or lover, or like, then the people who think I'm an asshole are like, oh, it's hero. He wants to be the hero. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's none of those. By the way, sage, like, oh, he thinks he knows everything. Nope, not that. I'm definitely not innocent. There's only one left.
I'm trying to like go through my list right now and figure out which one's left, but
I got king.
Really? What was the description on that one? I don't remember what you said.
The king in the masculine archetype, the ruler represents control, authority, and order.
Interesting.
About leadership that brings structure and promises stability and well-being.
I wouldn't have pegged that.
Yeah. Do you think there's like a whole part of me that doesn't come out in the podcast?
There must be.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I'm right about things.
Did Arden say that was the one? Like, did she think that was a good fit for you?
No, Arden got the same thing.
Do you think that's a good fit for her?
I think these things are bullshit. But I don't know. Like, to keep it on me for a second, would it ask questions about like, do you doubt yourself after you've made a decision? Like stuff like that. Like, I don't doubt myself after I've made a decision, but it takes me a long time to make a decision. Like, I don't have like hot takes in my own life. You know what I mean? I know I make a podcast, so people are probably like, I think you do that for a living. But like, if something comes up, I give it a lot of long thought. And then once I decide that it's a thing that we can do, I don't back off of it. I trust myself after that. Does that make sense?
So when you're answering the questions, are you answering it like generally looking at your whole life? Or are you just looking at your personal life, or like what you feel about yourself or what you think other people feel about you?
That's why I think the tests are shit. Because like there's like every question that was asked, I said to Arden, I was like, one of them was timed. And she goes, hey, these are timed. And I was like, we could have a half an hour conversation about every one of these questions. You know what I mean? Like they're not that cut and dry. They're not that simple. Do you like being in groups, or do you prefer being in groups or being alone? And I said, are we a group? Like the four of us? Is this a group? Because I like this, but I don't want to go to a club.
Right.
And be with 150 people, but I'm not alone when I'm with you. And I don't mind being alone, but I don't particularly like seek it out. This question's meaningless, like, because it could be interpreted 1,000 ways, unless the test is set up to let you just interpret it any way you want. But I don't know how it could be that thoughtful.
Well, then it's assigning a type to you and saying like, this is how you are. And you're like, are you sure? Was I just feeling about like about myself for the last 3 days before I took the test?
If it works, that's kind of crazy, but I don't see how it could actually work. Like, look, do you prefer being alone or in a group?
Myself?
Yeah.
Alone.
But is your family a group?
See, I wouldn't count them as a group.
See?
Yeah. I'm with you. I absolutely don't want to be in a group of people, but I wouldn't count my kids and my husband as a group.
Yeah. Here was one, like, is it easier for you to talk to people at a party who you know or people you don't know?
Neither.
Oh, see, for me, it doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah, it matters.
So now I can't answer the question. I would literally talk to anybody. And sometimes do. sometimes I was walking to the grocery store the other day and this lady was pushing out one of those carts that set up like a race car for your kid to sit in the front. Mm. The last time I was at the grocery store with Arden, she saw a kid in one of those carts and said to me, I remember when I was a kid feeling like I was actually driving that thing and it was so much fun. I'm walking past the woman. We make eye contact. What do you think I do? You think I nod? Do you think I say, hey, good morning? How are you? Just smile? No, I go, my 20-year-old daughter told me the other day that when she was that age driving those little carts, she felt like she was really driving it. And the woman at first is like, what is happening? You know what I mean? But then she realizes someone's speaking to her and she processed what I was saying and she stopped and smiled and said, oh God, she loves in this thing. And then she told me about her kid. And then I said, I hope you have a good day. And she said, you too. And we walked away. Nobody does that.
No, that wouldn't be me at all. Even if I was that person with the kid in the cart, I'd been like, oh, that's good. And I would have kept walking. I wouldn't even say like, have a good day. I would just walk away. I'd be like, great.
Get away from me, murderer.
Why are you approaching me with my small child? Get away from me.
So I have Jesus, ready? I have a theory that if I could talk to a stranger and make them comfortable quickly, that's a skill that translates into what I do for work.
It's also a skill to murder someone if you wanted to.
Yeah, but I'm not going to do that. Well, I like practicing on people who wouldn't. Wait, this sounds terrible. I like talking to people who don't expect you to talk to them to see how quickly I can get them comfortable and engaged.
But there are some people like me who are like, I refuse to get comfortable because then what if you lure me into your big white van and...
Well, listen, there are people that you can't get comfortable. And then I go, okay, well, then I just look at them and I go, okay, sorry. And I walk. That didn't go the way I expected. But you can also see, like, I understand you don't want to be abducted.
Probably, yeah.
Are you under 5'5", Kelly? What's going on?
I'm not, actually.
No, and you still feel like you could be abducted?
Yeah. Well, no, I feel like my kids could be, though.
I heard your kids are boring. Nobody wants them.
They're cool. They're just not fun to hang out with, you know?
I wish one of them would bring weed to the Uno party. But they're not cool enough, Scott. Like, I'm just telling you. Some people have like social anxieties and stuff like that. I feel like you can sometimes see that in their face. Like, I'm not approaching somebody who looks like they've got their head down and they're talking to like their MAGA keychain. Do you know what I'm saying? Right. No offense to those of you with the MAGA keychain. Like, I also don't just like jump people like out of nowhere. Sometimes people make eye contact and you're like, you can tell like we're thinking the same thing.
Right. I'm the person that will like, I'll like smirk at people. I'll like smile. I might even like do a wave, you know, if we're like walking past each other and we accidentally make eye contact, but I will absolutely not look up. I will not try to make eye contact or interact. Like I probably look like an asshole, but I think that I think that I grin or like, you know, like, oh, hey, like, look, I'm a nice person, but no, I don't want you to talk to me.
Interesting. Is your husband more social?
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes. Okay. I've said this before, but like when my son was younger, he'd give me crap all the time for talking to people, but he's like that.
He talks to people?
He would. Like he's very private, but if you get him relaxed, he'll talk to anybody. Yeah,
I mean, I'll relax and talk to people if I've drank, but I don't really drink, so.
I don't think it's a drink thing.
Yeah.
Like I could if I drank, but I don't drink, so exactly. No one's talking to me.
I'm not going to run to the grocery store with a fifth in my pocket, like.
How much of your time do you worry that somebody's going to snatch your kid? Seriously.
Like a percentage or?
Like, is it a thing you consider when you're in public?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is this a thing that happens a lot where you live?
There have been things, yeah. In the town that we lived in previously, we were thankfully not in town, but like there was like a mass shooting at a Walmart that we frequented, like the Walmart that we went to. So like there's just bigger things that I'm like, yeah, I'd rather just not look at people. Like,
yeah. That's terrible. I mean, listen, there was that news story last week. Those 3 teenage girls plotted to kill their mom for turning off the Wi-Fi.
What?
They chased her with knives around the house. She'd run outside to get away from him.
Oh my God. I didn't hear that.
Like 3 sisters, I think, like 14, 15, 16, like in that age range.
What?
Yeah, mom shut off the Wi-Fi and they went after her.
That's the mom that stands out front of the house for the news station, says, I didn't see it coming.
Yeah. And the neighbors across the street going, how could you not have seen this coming?
How dare you turn off the Wi-Fi?
You people are out of your minds. You just took your meth away from your meth heads. Like, come on. Of course they got mad. But I wonder if it's more male, female.
Yeah, probably.
Like, I don't know if I could defend myself against an abduction, but I know that I would try. Like, I don't have a fear that somebody's going to take me, I guess.
Right. I think it probably is. I mean, I think there's definitely things like that females face that others probably don't.
Archetype question, if they would have said, like, do you stand up for things? Like, if you see a wrong done and it's got nothing to do with you, would you stand up about it?
It depends what it is and how my proximity to it.
Yeah. I just said yes. I was like, I'm looking for an argument. It'd be awesome. Do you enjoy arguing with people?
With my husband or?
Listen, not a guy who you're punishing for loving you. I'm talking about just like a debate.
No, for the most part, no. I'm very avoidant.
Okay. Yeah, no, I would love to argue about anything. Like, seriously, one of the things I'm let down by that I have a diabetes podcast. I wish I was just one of those people like just talking on the internet so that like I could like just say stupid things to people and have them say stupid things back and then we could argue about it. I would love that.
I mean, I would like to follow along with that. I like listen and watch that, but I don't usually like to be involved.
Yeah, no. Or I forget what the question was in the test where it was like, do you enjoy like arguing with people? Whatever the scale was that you had to vote on, I was like, I don't feel like there's a positive enough answer here for that. I don't want to be in the street yelling like, with people, but like, I love it. Like, I really love just talking through things and like passionately talking through things.
Like online on Instagram or whatever, I like watching people do that. I just don't like to be the one to do it.
You don't want to be the one to do it. Yeah. I don't care about all that. I really want to be the one to do it. I guess I have an opinion I'm trying to share. I guess that's what like a psychologist would say. Like, why are you so comfortable? Would you grow up well or something?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, you didn't though, right?
Oh God, no.
No, that's right. I remember now. Sorry. Yeah, you're just comfortable. Did people shout you down as a kid? Probably. Sorry.
I honestly have blocked out most of it. Like, you could ask me about my childhood. I'm like, I don't know. It probably happened.
Had a birthday party when I was 9. I remember a sleepover when I was 12.
Literally, I have very few, like, yes, I know for sure that happened. Or like, my sister and I talk regularly about, like, with my husband, it drives him nuts because I can remember like any conversation. I'm like, you said we could have pizza on Thursday. And he's like, what? When did why do you remember that? My sister and I have determined that it's all like trauma related because we have a parent who, will change the story and whatever. So our brains have just been rewired to just remember all the details of any conversation. But as far as like our actual like memories of what happened in life, I don't have a clue.
So your mom, I'm sorry, I'm just guessing.
It's a good assumption. Yeah, go ahead.
So your mom would move the goalposts all the time. And if she got caught or she couldn't come through, she'd just lie.
Right on. Yeah.
Yeah. That sucks.
Yeah.
Like,
it still sucks.
A lot of like, oh, she still does it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're actually not speaking, but yeah.
Oh,
she does.
I was going to say you didn't yell at her yet and make her stop.
I've just stopped responding. Actually, it doesn't help.
Your opinion, obviously she's not here, but is it purposeful? Like, is it a control thing or is she just like all over the place and covering herself?
Both. It's very much control, but also she wants to make herself look and sound better. So
interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder why that happens.
Yeah, I wonder that too, but I don't wonder enough to want to figure it out anymore. I did for years and now I'm just like, I'd rather just not deal with it. It's not, maybe that's why I don't like to argue because there was never a point where it changed like her mind. Yeah,
even if you were right, you weren't going to win, right?
Exactly. So, I mean, because forever, I mean, I would get so worked up about every, whatever thing I might have been passionate, might have been important to me as a child and a younger adult. I mean, and eventually it just got to the point where I'm like, even my husband, he's been dealing with it, obviously, a lot less time than I have. And he would always be like, well, I mean, what if you just say this to her? And I'm like, no, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't help. It's not worth my effort anymore. So
You feel like you hear that story a lot. Like, other women, right? Like besides your sister. So like, do a lot of people have this story or do they not share it if they do?
I don't know of a lot of people that talk about that. I know a lot of people that, still willingly talk to their parent. So
I love the way you just said that. Wait, was your mom drinky? A little drinky?
When I was younger, yes, but not anymore, really. I mean, she will drink now, but not like heavily.
Yeah, it's all very interesting. See, this is the stuff. Like, if you guys weren't like so hung up on like the diabetes stuff, like I would talk more about like these things. I would be like, get your mom on. I want to argue with her. That'd be awesome.
Oh my God, that would be amazing. I would tune in for so long.
I would be like, your daughter gave me these 3 things that really bother her. She doesn't feel like she can talk about them. I'm going to argue with you about them now. Well, Scott argues for you. That's a great podcast. My God.
I mean, a little spinoff would be okay. I'd listen. I think a lot of people probably would.
Kelly, I have to tell you, like, one of the things that like scares me the most is a business person that I do business with, right? And they come to me about every 4 weeks and say, Scott, I think what people like most about your podcast is you. And I think you should go in other directions, not with this podcast. Like, don't change this. You should start another one and do this here or something. And I'm like, you don't realize, like, and I think it's lovely that he thinks that. And if he's listening, I really appreciate that you feel like that. I don't think it takes into account the randomness that success is. I could go make a great podcast, but it doesn't mean anybody will hear it. And it doesn't mean it'll pop off. It doesn't mean it'll get anywhere. And like, I got to be honest with you, like, I don't have the time to make a podcast for 150 people.
Right. What if that was just your hobby, though? Like, what if this was your job and then doing that because you said you would enjoy it, like arguing with people and having arguments for them, like that was your hobby because it's something that you enjoy?
Fair enough. Then my next concern would be that parts of my personality that don't mesh well with this podcast would turn people off about me.
But those people wouldn't listen then. They would only listen to the diabetes one, right?
Maybe. And I'm not saying I'd say anything crazy. Like, it's not like people are listening. I'm like, well, what are you going to say?
I mean, I want to know, but
it's not going to be something insane. Like, I'm like, hey, I think like those Nazis had a point. Like, it's not going to be anything like that, right? Because I don't have those feelings. But like, my politics probably aren't the way you think they are. And like, the things I think about the world probably aren't like what you think about the world. I'm just one of those people that thinks if you own a grocery store, you don't go out into the town square and tell people that you're a Democrat or a Republican because you're trying to sell groceries to everybody.
Do you think that would come up in arguments with like my mother, though?
Well, no. Do you really think you could get your mom set up for this? Because I would do this. No, it wouldn't. But people will dig through like opinions and say, oh, I think that this clearly means that if he said that, then he definitely thinks this about that and this about this.
Do you think they would read between the lines and not even necessarily be correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
1,000,000%. By the way, I believe most of us are this, but it's a dirty word to some people. I'm so moderate, it's probably boring. Listen, if you're spraying paint on a Tesla dealership, I see your point. And if you're over there going like, I want the tariffs to be 100% because I want to bring manufacturing, blah, blah. Like I see people's points. Mm-hmm. I don't judge them. Like, so I'm one of those people. It's like, I get why you feel that way. And that does make sense to me. Mm-hmm. But I don't feel pressure to like blend your ideas into my ideas.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think my opinions about stuff like that are probably pretty boring.
I would like to think that's most people. I don't know that it is. But I mean, I think that I tend to be, that way too. Like, I can see where you're coming from and I love to hear it. I don't agree with you. I'm not going to adapt my thoughts to what you said, but I still, it lets me know about you. I don't judge you for it, but I also might impact a relationship that I have with a person.
We said to ChatGPT right now, what are the 10 biggest like social issues going on right now, right? Like the stuff that you see being thrown around online, on Twitter, on like things like that, right? That list would sound something like trans kids playing sports. It would sound something like Elon Musk being involved in the government. It would sound something like war in Israel and this and that. I think if I gave you my opinions on all those, you'd be like, that's very boring and common sensey. Thank you. But I think that people on the fringes of every one of those ideas would find a way to turn your opinion into your Hitler. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
From both sides. Like if you gave a down the middle opinion on something, then the people on the fringes are able to go, well, if you weren't willing to stick up for that, then you must be this.
Right.
That's boring to me. And that's how most content creators make a living. They take the social issues that are out in front in people's minds. They pick a side so that the people on that side will agree with them and the people on the other side of it will call them Hitler. And that's how they stay popular.
But then if you're down the middle, do you not possibly leech
piss
into
off
both?
Everybody?
Yeah.
You just piss everybody off and no one agrees with you.
But that's, we've learned if they're in the comment section, then your post gets boosted.
Yeah, but I'm getting older. And like, so what happens then is like everyone online disagrees with you. And all the people who is probably the majority of the people walking around who agree with you are not busy online. So I can't go to their house and have this conversation. And I definitely can't sell an ad on it. So like I'm a little screwed. Can you imagine if I showed up at a moderate person's house, had a reasonable agreement with them about something, and then for 60 seconds said to them, usmed.com/juicebox. You can get your supplies the same way my daughter does from US Med. They'd be like, why is he saying this in the living room? But that really is the problem, is that me and everyone else who's doing something like this, like they're delivering you, like some people are delivering real opinions to you. Some people are delivering real information to you. Some of them are just because of what you said earlier, like, I don't want to be in this fight, but I love watching people have it. Like that's entertainment. And so you piss a bunch of people off, agree with a bunch of other people. Everyone in the middle isn't online. And what you get is the people who hate you, the people who love you, and the people who just like to watch the thing burn. And then you make money off of that, like by reading ads in the middle of it. Like that's the world, like it or not. I don't love it, by the way. I like bringing people good information about diabetes. And it's, I sell ads because if I didn't, then I couldn't spend my time making the podcast. You know what I mean? Rob's not free, is what I'm saying.
Right on.
And yeah, I think Rob's probably like, hey, don't hang this on me. It's not just Rob. It's like a light bill. And I would love to argue online, but I don't know how to pay for it.
So if I find you a sponsor for an arguing podcast, you would take on my mom?
Oh my God, absolutely. Listen, our biggest problem, listen to me, I'm about to talk like this is like it's the 80s and I'm talking Iran-Contra here. But the problem is that you do have people who have great opinions, but the people in the middle, they're not online looking for them. You're making something that there's no one to give it to. And that ends up being why you see what's going on. Like people just calling each other names so that you'll agree with them or disagree with them. That's all they want. Like it's massive. Like obviously in politics, it's huge on YouTube.
Yeah, especially right now.
Yeah, you just pick somebody on the other side, call them a name, and then tell everybody why you think that. And everybody who agrees with you is like, right on, this is awesome. This is the best thing that's ever happened because this guy's so right about this. And then some people hate listen to you.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Then, that's it. And then click, and that's it. Anyway, so I'm just going to make a diabetes podcast because I think that it helps people and I like helping people. But I do wish I could argue more.
Do you think that you would ever concede? Like, do you think you would take on like my mom with whatever, 3 very, very minute points that I were to give you? Do you think that there would ever be a time where she could make a point and you'd be like, you know what? You're right. You're not a piece of shit.
Probably. I mean, I'm sure you're wrong about some of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, probably not the big parts, but like, I imagine if I talked to her long enough, you could find the pathway to how she got where she was. And it might create enough compassion that you'd say, oh God, I see how this happened. Like, I can't let it go because of what it did to me.
Right.
But I get how we got here. I wish she would have made different decisions along the way. And I think maybe like it wouldn't turn you into like, oh my God, it's Christmas morning. Make sure my mom's here to see the kids. It might make you feel better about her. And you probably call her once in a while and be like, hey, happy birthday.
Right.
Because right now, may I? Kelly?
Yeah.
She's somewhere. She doesn't know all the things she did wrong.
She would tell me they didn't happen.
No, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that right now she's sitting somewhere, right or wrong, and she doesn't believe she did anything wrong. Or she's told.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so in her mind, what's really happening is her ungrateful kid isn't talking to her.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody with their feelings and their thoughts. We got to mix them all together and try to make sense of it. It's impossible.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really isn't easy. Like the only thing keeping us together, may I?
For sure.
Sex and safety. That's pretty much that.
Which I get neither of from my mother. So
No. Well, thank God. No, what I'm saying is that, like, listen, I've been married 30 years. The other night, when we were sitting down, me and Arden and Kelly, and taking this little quiz thing, Kelly answered a question and I said something and she goes, "That's not right." I was like, "Lady, I've known you since you were 20 years old. This is 100% right." And then you'd see Arden like mathing and she goes, "Wow, you've known her for 30 years?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she goes, "Such a long time." And I was like, "I know it is a long time." But Kelly was like looking like, "Oh, yeah, I know." And so listen, you meet a boy or a girl when you're however old, you're a kid. And like, there's that exciting part of it. Like, and you live in the exciting for a while. And then eventually you're like, well, we got to have a place to live. And then, a baby comes out and you're like, ah.
And then you're hitched for life at that point. It's too late.
And then you're like, well, I can't get out of here. We own this house together, but we can't leave because, and I do love him, but like, and she, like that all happens. And then you live through that for 10 or 15 years while you're raising your kids. Right. And some people like then mature through it. And then some people don't mature through it. Like, you know what I mean?
Listen, I've only been married 10 years. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, actually, I have actually only been married for 10 years. But I know what you're saying. I'm there with you.
Listen, there's nothing bad about it. It's all very natural. You're not going to bang like kids your whole life. And if you are, stop doing so much cocaine. Like you have to continue to find value in how your life progresses and find joy in it as you're moving forward. But it's hard to like give up the fun part. And especially as it goes away more and more, you romanticize it more as it being fun. Like, does that all make sense?
It does. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Like, see, I'm a very sensible person, but I don't think that's a reason to leave a lady when she's 40, by the way. That's a reason to go like, hey, people change. He changed. I changed. But we put a lot of effort into this together. And there's a ton of stuff about us that's awesome. It's just not as fun.
Yeah. As long as you change at like similar rates, I think it's okay.
Yeah. No, it'll probably be fine.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, but at the same time, like sometimes it doesn't go that way. Like sometimes people like mature faster or slower, or the thing that they miss is so important to them that they think like, oh, I'll go do it again. But the truth is like, listen, I don't want to generalize, but guys do that, right? Like everyone knows a guy who's been married 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're always going back to the fun part. Like, so they do the fun part and then they leave, and then they do the fun part and then they leave, and then they do the fun part. And then eventually they get too old and they stay. So they've ruined 3 ladies' lives to have the fun part 3 times. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. And I also think like while we're, I think sometimes ladies can sometimes, I think boys become men because women make them sometimes.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Okay. And I also think that sometimes women don't know when to stop trying to make you into something else.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a fair thing to say.
Right. Like, I'm here now. I pay the mortgage. I'm a good guy. I don't cheat on you. You can stop fixing me.
But it's got so much better when we started fixing it. They're like, how much better can we make it? You know? No,
then you get maniacal then. You think like now you're like, the Mona Lisa doesn't need a touch up. It's done.
Calling yourself the Mona Lisa right now?
No, I'm making the point that you don't have to move a hair. You know what I mean? Like it looks the same one way or the other. Like there was a moment where he's like, do you want to go 4-wheeling in the woods and then have sex? And you were like, I know, but okay. Can we stop doing this in a muddy place? And then like, like you fix that and you're like, maybe I could get him to get a car instead of a motorcycle. Like you do that kind of stuff. Like, but at the end, like he's a good guy and he's a good dad and like he loves you. And like, it's so like, leave me alone now. Let me be myself for a little while.
When did you speak with my husband?
Listen, these are not hard things to figure out. It's just in the last 10 years, we got so accustomed to telling everybody that they were special, we forgot that generalizations, generally speaking, are pretty accurate. Everybody's not the same, but sure they are.
But nobody's special and everybody's special. Yeah.
Yeah, you're special in lovely ways. Like, don't get me wrong. I know you're special. But like, we all fit into a category.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So I just happen to be a king. Sorry. This is trying to be funny to make myself laugh. Thinking of you being uncomfortable. Yeah, that's the etymology of that. Like I said that to amuse myself at how other people would either take it poorly or not. Wow, that is a really good look into how my mind works. I'm not trying to make you laugh. I'm making myself laugh, wondering how you're going to
just to see what happens.
Let me just poke this and see what happens. Oh my God, that's hilarious. Yeah. Anyway, like just be nice to each other, and you're not going to have as much sex as you get older, and just stay together. It's fine. You're fine.
The kids grow up eventually, right? Right.
But don't be a dick while you're doing it too. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be an asshole, like just because it's not like super fun time.
Sometimes it's fun to be an asshole though.
Yeah, but get a podcast for that. You don't need to like, you don't need to do it to the guy who's paying your bills or the lady who, when you were 18, agreed to lay on her back in the mud. Remember, she did that, and just fucking treat her nicely. It's not that hard. My wife has put up with so much that I'd let her stab me twice before I left. Like, as she was stabbing me, I think she's owed this.
My husband would concur. He would say the exact same thing. Yeah.
No kidding. Yeah, no. I'm like not for nothing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
My wife's been with me on a desk. I don't know. She deserves some credit. And she's trying to kill me with her like goalpost moving and like making me a better person all the time. And I deserve credit for not putting in her shallow grave. Like, I think we all deserve credit. Don't you?
I hope so.
Yeah. All right. Listen. Hey, your kid had diabetes, right? I forget that part. Sorry about that. Hey, listen, once in a while, one of these has to go this way. And this one was that one. What are we going to call this one?
Whatever you want.
We call it Kelly's mom. Is mentally unstable.
Listen, even my therapist agrees. Like I talk, we talk and he's like, oh, yeah. So have you ever heard of, this psychiatric thing? And I'm like, yep, sure.
No kidding. Oh, yeah. Well, then listen, that'll be a good description for this episode. Kelly's therapist agrees that her mom is a gaslighter. Is that fine? Can I write that?
Might be a long title, but yeah, you could
I don't think it's going to fit. We'll just probably call this one Archetype. No. How's that going to get them into, like, they deserve to hear the story about your kid going from stage to stage.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot there, I think. It feels like it's been a lot. I don't know if I talked about it all properly, but.
Just so people understand how I'm producing this episode, we did such a good job on the stages thing and how you felt and everything. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, we can do tomfoolery at the end. It'll be nice.
Yeah, so, I definitely I feel like the like honeymoon shit that we were dealing with was just like the on again, off again relationship that nobody asked for. Like just, hey, let's just watch it. Oh no, we're not in touch yet. Okay, now treat it. No, don't treat it. No, don't treat it. Okay, now treat it again. Let's see what his body does. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right. Well, listen, let's leave everybody with a takeaway that'll help them. Ladies, good luck not turning into your moms. Guys, just, don't be a dick. Just be cool. Like, she put up with a lot. And, I just think you should say thank you. That's all. Like, I actually feel that way. Like, any girl who's ever been kind enough to take their clothes off in front of me, I'm like, that girl deserves a lot of credit. I wouldn't have done this for me, is what I'm saying. This is very, very kind of you. It's almost how like every encounter should end. It should end with me going, this was very kind of you. Thank you. Seriously.
I think that would be insulting, honestly. Like,
because you did it with me and now I'm like, you shouldn't have done this?
No, like for you to be that was so nice of you. Thank you. Not like, wow, that was amazing. I'm so glad we did that. But like, well, that was nice of you. I'd be like, oh, okay.
No, I feel like that part comes out during the act. During the act, if you're not acting as if it's awesome, I don't think you're paying attention. Even bad pizza's great. But I'm saying that when you get to the end, like you should just say like, look, I realized there had to have been better guys to do this with. And I really appreciate you doing this with me.
I know that was really challenging for you.
I mean, I saw that like Netflix just took over that horrible show where they bring couples in and then send hot people to try to steal them from them. What's that called?
I don't have a clue.
I'll figure it out. Hold on a second. Because Arden's like, I don't want to watch this show, but I am going to watch the first episode. And I was working. Love Island.
I don't know it.
Okay. Well, so here's what happens. Oh my God, Rob's like, I'm going to charge you extra for this. Like, you should, Rob. Seriously. Love Island, they basically bring in couples. And the couples are attractive, right? But they're not models. Does that make sense?
Okay.
And then they're usually couples who've been together for a while, but don't commit to each other. And, they end up coming in and like the guy's saying stuff like, well, I want to make sure she's the right one. Like 3.5 years later, what he's saying is like, I really would like to have sex with different people, but I know she's awesome and I shouldn't let her go. Like, these are really terrible people. And the woman's like, so like, I feel so bad because they just don't have the confidence to say I should be treated better.
Right.
So they're like, I need the guy to do something that proves to me that he's not going to cheat on me.
I need him to give me permission to leave by sleeping with someone else.
And now they're there. And then they bring in girls in bikinis that look like they were made in a laboratory. And these girls are there to try to tempt the guys away from the women. And so they bring the girls out. And the guys, of course, like their jaws drop on the ground like an old Bugs Bunny cartoon. And the girls are saying like racy things and they're in thongs. And then they go over to the guys and put like a bracelet on them. They're like, you're the one I'm going to go after. The guys, they're sitting next to their women. They're touching leg to leg, acting like they're not there. This is, by the way, what it would be like to be at a strip club with a guy, by the way, because he's just like, oh, hi, how are you? And and I'm like, oh my God, your girlfriend's sitting next to you. You've known her for 5 years. This is awesome. That all happens. The women are incensed. And then the guys, they're not smart enough to play it forward a half an hour to when they bring out the guys that are going to try to take their women from them. And then the guys come out and then all the boyfriends are like, oh God, that like, can they put their shirts back on? Like that kind of stuff. Because these guys are just like, I mean, they're on a reality show on Netflix. They obviously just do sit-ups for a living. So that's happening. And then they put them in dating situations and video it and then show the video to each other.
So do they come onto this show knowing like what they're doing? Do they think they're coming onto this show to like secure their relationship? Or do they know that they're both going to be tempted and they're just waiting to see what happens?
So Arden and I had a long conversation about that. And we should probably make it into a podcast because we were trying to like decide, like, is this just production? Like, did the producers just tell them, like, are these just people who want to be famous? Is that girl like, I'm just going to try to gain 50,000 Instagram followers from so I'll go on Love Island. I don't really care about this guy anyway. Like, you know what I mean? Like, or as a couple, are they trying to be famous? Are they really couples? Or is it just all fake? Like, we couldn't tell.
I mean,
the whole thing was,
Google says there's 11 seasons. And I hadn't heard of it before. So maybe, but how are you applying to be on a show and you don't know what the show is about and what's going to happen? Like, how do you not look at the previous 10 seasons before applying for the 11th?
My point is that the people who went on Survivor in season 1 were like, I'm going to go on a game show where I live on an island and try to outlast everybody. But the people who went on Survivor in season 30 were like, I'm going to be famous.
Right.
By the way, it doesn't work, but that's what they thought. Like, I'll pump up my social status. Like, I mean, who goes into like, what's that one? The Big Brother house? Like, who's doing that? It's like a $500,000 prize to live in there for 3 months. After taxes, you could probably just get a decent job and make that money. It's a weird thing. Not in 3 months, by the way. People are like, oh, Scott making a couple $100,000 every 3 months. I'm not. Like, you know what I mean? Like a decent job, work hard. I think you could do okay in a year. And none of you are going to win. Like one of you is going to randomly win. The rest of you get nothing. I don't know. I think it's about social credit. I think that's what they're going for. But my point is, if you are actually a couple, even if you don't cheat, even if you do nothing, I don't think it matters. I think your relationship's ruined the minute you get there. Don't you?
By exposing yourself to this situation in the first place?
Yeah, because what if there's video, Kelly? What if we go, you and I go, okay? My wife's name's Kelly, so this will be easy for me to imagine. Kelly and Scott go on Love Island together. We've been together for 4 or 5 years. You're not sure if I'm going to commit to you. I have a wandering eye, and I'm not sure if you're right for me, because this is pretty much the like vibe of these people.
But I would hope if we'd been together for 4 or 5 years, even if we weren't going to be married, that like you would be committed at that point. Like it's not a month in where you're not sure where you stand with each other.
It was 8 seconds of a girl in a thong, and one of those guys forgot that he was sitting next to a person. I'm telling you, he was like, God damn, look at that. You could hear him mumbling under his breath. I was like, dude, pull it together. Yeah. So anyway, so you and I are on the show, and like we don't cheat. But later you see video, I see video of you 6 champagnes in.
Considering the cheating.
On a group date night, and there's a guy leaning in on your shoulder talking to you, and you've got 1 foot up on the wall. How am I coming back from that after I saw that?
Right.
Right. And you have the same thing. I'm on a boat, and there's a girl in a thong sitting on my lap, but I never cheated on you. How are you coming back from that?
Do the girlfriends that come on the show with them, the girls and the guys that came on the show together, they split off and go on these racy dates with
Yeah, they split them off and then they drip models on top of them and give them alcohol.
So they don't stay, because you said originally that they're sitting next to the person that they came with when they're introduced, and then
while
split
they're
them
introducing
off?
you. Yeah, boom, then gone. Yeah.
Okay.
And then they show you video of like one another. So in a party atmosphere, even the most benign thing that doesn't end in sex is going to look bad.
Right.
And then how am I supposed to forget that happened? How do I believe you when I say to you, hey, I just saw a video where it looked like a guy was eating your ear? That wasn't really happening, right? And you go, no, we didn't do anything. Then what do I go, okay?
My husband would be sitting in a corner, literally facing the wall like he's in timeout playing Pokemon Go. Like, I don't want to be a part of any of this. Like,
all the video you're going to find of me is me staring into this corner because I'm going home and keeping my house. Actually, I'm hoping Kelly does something weird because I'm going to take the house from her. I don't know. I feel like all we've learned today is, I don't know what we learned here. Never mind. Although I will tell you this, anyone still listening, you people would love my new podcast. That I know for sure. Oh my God. I have so many thoughts about so many things. I just hold them inside or I bother my family with them.
Maybe Love Island would sponsor your new podcast.
Oh, where I just make fun of the people on Love Island?
Exactly. Why wouldn't they?
A dumber group of people. Like, I can't imagine. Like, I really can't imagine what your thought process. It has to be that you're trying to be famous. It's just too easy to like have a measure of fame. Like Kelly, we live in a world where in a certain place, I have fame. That's ridiculous. Like genuinely ridiculous. Famous people are supposed to be Brad Pitt. Famous people are supposed to be Susan Sarandon. These are famous people, not me.
Not Scott.
No, I did what I did right now with you. I'm good at this. Like, don't get me wrong. I love it to death. I enjoy it very much. I make a nice living from it. Like, all that's good. But I did it while a chameleon. Like, just remember, like, that's not a thing that rises to the level of fame. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Maybe it shouldn't be.
We've ruined fame is what I'm saying. We ruined it by giving it to everybody. We're literally going to make it go away.
Is that all bad though either?
Actually, let's write that down. That'd be an awesome episode with Arden. Like, because if we follow this out, like initially it ruined fame, right? Like, it's just not hard. Like, I accomplished with $300 what Howard Stern went to college for and worked at 17 terrible radio stations to get to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, if you stretch this out another 200 years, will this like come back around like a snake eat its own tail and we'll get rid of fame, or will fame just look different? Will it just keep morphing?
I mean, I wouldn't put you like on the same fame level as, the Brad Pitt that you're mentioning, right? But
no, not today. No, of course not. But the version of me 40 years from now, I don't think the version of Brad Pitt exists 40 years from now.
Well, yeah.
And I think that's kind of a shame a little bit. Like, because now nothing's special.
I will say, I feel like there's not any like new, like there are like, the Johnny Depps, the Brad Pitts, but then you look behind them and it's like, I don't know any of you. I've seen you in one movie before. Nobody's big.
Yeah. Would I care about Timothy Chalamet? That's my thing. No, stop it. It's not the same thing. Brad Pitt is on ads in other countries where they don't speak English. That's the kind of fame I'm talking about.
But do you think you would do that?
No, of course not. That couldn't possibly be me. That man's so pretty. Are you insane?
You're popular in a lot of countries, though.
Yeah, but he's so pretty. Like, that's not the same thing.
Do you think they would put you on like a Dexcom commercial in some other country, though?
No, because I don't have diabetes.
You talk enough about it. You can slap a Dexcom on. Nobody would question it.
Now that I would, first of all, that's ridiculous. I wouldn't do that. Don't put that on me, Kelly. And like, secondly, like, no, that's like, listen, I have a lot of advertisers. You don't see many of them bring me places publicly, though. So they know that all of you listen. They'll buy ad here because they can reach people. But if they're going to go out into the public, they're not going to hold me up because I don't have diabetes, and rightfully so. Yeah.
Do you think everyone in their commercials does have diabetes? I guess I don't see Dexcom commercials that much.
I believe that everybody they put in their commercials has diabetes. And I think that the social media influencers that they bring to things have diabetes. Now, having said that, there is a company who's taking me to children with diabetes this year. So, but I'm going to talk to kids.
My kids had so much fun. We went to Touched by Type 1 conference and they had so much fun listening to you.
Awesome. Now that's what what we're going to do is go down. I'm going to basically like put a bunch of kids in a room with diabetes and like do a podcast with them. Like with I don't know how it's going to sound, but like a giant group of kids. And then I'll be available to like talk with families and like do pictures with kids and stuff like that. Like
you're going to actually record it?
We're going to try. Yeah. We're going to see it. I mean, it might just sound like a bunch of screaming kids. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but that's one of the things we still have to work out. And it might just be a thing for them there. If we can't get it recorded, then we won't get it recorded. But cool. Otherwise, yeah. So and that's nice. But that's one company in 20 years who's like, yeah, you should come. Like, can you imagine? I've never been to children with diabetes before. That's ridiculous, isn't it?
I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, right. I've never been there. So they don't want me. Nobody's looking for me to speak at that.
But are they only letting you speak to kids, or was that your choice?
That's what I said I thought would be most interesting.
Okay.
I'm great with kids. Like, right. I won't say a lot of the stuff I said here to the children.
I would hope not.
Yeah. When I focus on children, I'm very good with children. I don't know. That's not the point. The point is we ruined fame. Like, because it shouldn't be that easy. Like, when the world goes crazy, I think there should be a handful of people to look to, not literally countless people who you just keep like filtering through till you find the person that you absolutely agree with, because you haven't heard a different opinion. Then you just heard your opinion. You just finally found your opinion being parroted back to you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, so when you were famous, when there was actual fame, something would happen in the world and there was a handful of places to go to hear commentary about it. And then you had to decide of that commentary, what did you find valuable? What do you agree with, disagree with? How much of it are you going to adapt or not adapt to the way you think? But instead now you just go to YouTube and you just follow somebody you agree with. And then that's it. You don't have to think. It's all just them reinforcing how you feel. And I think that like once people got, this is going to sound incredibly hypocritical, but once you could put a microphone and a camera in someone's house, I know I'm arguing against myself here, but that's fine. Like once you could do that, you ruined what fame was. And then you took away the idea that somebody had to work hard to become thoughtful on a subject and that they had to go through the court of community to decide if their voice was valuable or not, because if it wasn't, it would go away and then somebody else would get a chance. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, but I also think that you have enough information and valuable experience that people are listening to for a reason. There's a reason that your podcast is better than the others.
Listen, Kelly, I didn't want to be the one to say that, but yeah, of course, like I'm doing a good job, but there are also 50 other people doing a bad job at it. Mm-hmm. Right. But
isn't that a level of fame that you have, we'll say, higher than the others because you have the experience and the knowledge and everything that maybe they do, maybe they don't, but you're also good at what you do. So like you have more fame than that person. So like that still kind of exists. There might be some people that listen. I've never heard any others. So I mean, I'm not comparing one to the other because I don't know who anyone else is.
I'm also not saying that there's not other people doing it well.
Right.
I've said this a couple times on here, but I used to keep track of it and I've stopped a long time ago, but I got to 110. That's 110 diabetes podcasts that came after mine that have since become defunct. That's insane.
I feel like you think about yourself that you are the most successful because you were the first, though, or is that accurate?
I think that I have an advantage there's a thing called first movers. What do they call it? First movers, something called first movers and second movers. So there's a theory that being the first mover just puts you in a position where nobody else can get to you because you're out in front.
It easier, but that's not why you're doing better necessarily.
Keep it going, right? There's also an idea of second movers, which means that you got to see the first person do it wrong. Mm-hmm. And so that you could then say, all right, well, I see what's wrong here. I'll adjust, I guess. And so this is very, you're going to make me say something that is going to sound indelicate, but like, I think that it was definitely a benefit to go first. I also think that I am engaging and interesting. And I think I'm a person who realized that just talking about diabetes wasn't going to cut it, right? Like you're going to need to make this fun and entertaining and real and not make it sound like the local news. You know what I'm saying?
So did that come naturally or was that actually a conscious thought that you had when you started talking about it?
That's just natural.
Yeah.
So you can't take credit for that. Like, it's not like I was like, you know what I should do? I understand in hindsight why it worked, but it's not like on day one, I was like, well, what I'll do is I'll just be myself. I won't act like a talking head on like, a local ABC affiliate, like that kind of thing. But some people I think do that, and that's just natural for them. But I don't think that lends to like broad appeal. And so moreover, what I realized was that the goal is to help people with their diabetes. So whatever keeps them in the information longer so that they can learn it, that's what's most important. So if it's you and me making fun of your dad or your mom, or, like me being a little salty sometimes, or me being like a little risque sometimes, once in a while I'll share how I feel like, about religion, and I'll get notes from people. And the notes are like, listen, your diabetes information is rock solid, but do not say how you feel about God. Or like this or that, like that's not okay. I can't listen anymore. And I'm like, oh man, I don't know what to tell you. I think just being me is what works. But if I sat down with this microphone 11 years ago and I was just being me about something else, and I didn't have a built-in base of people, I don't think it would have gone anywhere. And I honestly think, as popular as this podcast is right now, that if I started another podcast, I don't think it would be popular. Because it's too hard to get going at this point, and nothing is viral anymore. Like there's no such thing as organic growth.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to either be famous, or you have to spend a shocking amount of money to get yourself to that level. And that money gets spent on Facebook ads and Instagram ads and TikTok ads and stuff like that. You all don't realize, but a lot of the stuff that you're watching was pumped up by money. It got you there to money.
Right, right.
I've had a lot of conversations recently with people who work at Meta, so Facebook, Instagram. I've had conversations with people who do this professionally. What I've been told is, like, because I'm looking for a way to make the podcast grow. And what I've been told is, like, look, you've done such a good job, but there's nothing left here. There's no fruit to pick off this tree. And I find that frustrating because I like working towards more. I like to think that I'm getting up in the morning to help you guys, and then to build the podcast. Like, those are the two things I like to focus on. And I'm so worried that I've gotten to a point where like I can't make the podcast any bigger than it is, and that'll take away some of the, and this is going to sound crazy, but some of the fun for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little worrisome for me, but like, so I could start another podcast and no one will hear it. It's not the same as it used to be. It used to be on Facebook. You shared something, someone liked it, they'd reshare it. That doesn't happen anymore. People don't share things on Facebook anymore. They don't comment on things. Some people do, but it's not at the mass that it used to be. So that's gone. Now you have to pay Facebook to show your stuff to people. And it's not cheap. So what I was told by the professional was, we could still grow your podcast, but you'd have to get an infusion of hundreds of thousands of dollars to make it happen.
Jeez.
And I was like, well, we're not going to be able to do that. So no, thank you.
Huh.
All that money goes into ads. And it may or may not work. The person told me there's no organic growth anymore. You don't just show up, do a thing, people like it, and it gets bigger. The algorithm decides if you get bigger or not. That's it. So anyway, that's a huge bummer, but I think that's how it all works now. Let's just be happy that we're here. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all. I have no idea what we're talking about anymore. This is the longest podcast I've recorded in a while. I really appreciated this. I like talking to you.
Absolutely. Me too.
Yeah. All right. Hold on a second. The conversation you just heard was sponsored by Touched by Type 1. Check them out, please, at touchedbytype1.org on Instagram and Facebook. You're going to love them. I love them. They're helping so many people at touchedbytype1.org. The podcast you just enjoyed was sponsored by Tandem Diabetes Care. Learn more about Tandem's newest automated insulin delivery system, Tandem Mobi with Control IQ Plus technology, at tandemdiabetes.com/juicebox. There are links in the show notes and links at juiceboxpodcast.com. I'd like to thank the Eversense 365 for sponsoring this episode of the Juicebox Podcast, and remind you that if you want the only sensor that gets inserted once a year and not every 14 days, you want the Eversense CGM. EversenseCGM.com/juicebox. 1 year, 1 CGM. Hey, thanks for listening all the way to the end. I really appreciate your loyalty and listenership. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back very soon with another episode of the Juicebox Podcast. The episode you just heard was professionally edited by Wrong Way Recording. WrongWayRecording.com.